Hi, this is Mr. Y. So this is a game between Keenan and Nicholas that happened the first week of March of 2014 at Britain Acres. This game was chock full of tactics, lots of tactics, and the lead switched sides a couple times. Kind of interesting. Don't know who's going to win until the very, very end of this. It sort of came out of the blue. All right, so let's take a look. Keenan had the white pieces. He started with e4. Nicholas Cottrell had the black pieces. He started with e5. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop c4, bishop c5, knight c3, knight f6, and then we have d5. Interesting. Oops, sorry. You missed a move, d3. Then we have d5. d5. Interesting, we had just looked at a game between two of our other players during the session, and they had played exactly the same opening up to this d5, which I had said was a mistake. So I was really surprised to see Nicholas make this move that we had just gone over and saying it was a mistake. We can see that it is defended twice by the queen and the knight, and it's attacked 3 times by this bishop. This pawn, it's a pawn, it's not a bishop, and this knight. So this pawn is history. Keenan went ahead and took it with the knight, and Nicholas retook with the knight, and then Keenan took with the bishop. And then, now this knight is okay. He doesn't have to move, but Nicholas decided to move him again. See, it's protected. All right. Let's say we do something more sensible, like castling. Say, continue developing. Then we take that. Now I've exchanged off one of my bishops, an active bishop, for a knight, and so I've lost the bishop pair, and he has. And there's doubled pawns here. So it's an even exchange. I don't think black would do that. Well, maybe he would, but or rather, I don't think white would do that. I don't think white would exchange off his bishop. So you don't need to move this knight. The knight is just okay right where he is. But you went ahead and moved the knight. You moved the knight up here. Now, what's the move? We had exactly the same position in the other game too, right? The move is to take the pawn, right? That pawn is unprotected. But Keenan made the same mistake that. Whoops, that's not the move he made. I made a mistake. That's not the same mistake. He made a different mistake. He brought his bishop up here, which is okay. It's a hit on the queen, but you're going to have to move it away because Nicholas wisely responded by just pushing this pawn. Okay. Well, what did he do? He took this knight. And I don't like that move. What's a better move here? Well, actually, there really isn't much of a better move. Maybe c3 would be better. The computer actually suggests this, which is interesting. It looks like, well, what's the point of that? Well, this pawn is still pinned, right? So he can't take the knight, but he can take the bishop. So I guess the thought is that you're going to lose the bishop. Well, I don't know. So this goes here. The computer says take that, and then we have c3 attacking this knight. Knight e6. This is interesting because you're going to this square, which is attacked once and defended once, so it's okay. It's an okay square. Queen h5 check. Queen h5 check. No, that can't be. Oh, black just moved. Queen h5 check. G6. And now look at this move. This is a really cool move here. This pawn is pinned. So when a pawn takes back, he loses the rook with check, loses the exchange. So the computer suggests that that's the way to go. Way back here to take this pawn. I don't know if I would have the guts to do that, frankly. I would have backed up this bishop to one of these squares down here. Keenan rather, yeah, Keenan went ahead and took this knight, which the computer says is okay. Then bishop takes, and I guess the material is roughly even now. Bishop d2. So now he backs up the bishop. All right. The point is, when he takes with this knight, that now this exchange is going to happen anyway, and then he still has to take. He still has time to take this bishop away. Or if he takes the bishop, then he moves the knight away, right? So he's just deciding which piece he's going to. He's letting his opponent decide which piece he's going to lose. So he takes a knight. He loses the bishop. He loses the knight rather. He takes this bishop back. Material is still pretty close to even. Bishop g4. So now at this point the material is no longer even because black has decided he's going to give away his bishop for no apparent reason. It's just a blunder. It happens to everybody. Okay, so now this queen is attacking. He's just attacking the pawn. So you have to defend the pawn. So a couple ways to do it. I would have liked to perhaps see moving the queen to one of these two squares. That way you develop your last piece and you protect the pawn, keep a nice pawn chain here. Whoops, wrong key here. There we do. Nice pawn chain supporting the bishop. Now you want to keep that. You don't want to move this if you can avoid it. So I would have moved the queen to one of these two squares. But what he did instead is push his pawn forward, so it's now supported by the other pawn, which is good. Keenan castled long, getting the queen to safety, moving the rook to this central file opposite the queen. And now Nicholas, he's just spent his time supporting this pawn, and by moving it forward, and then he moves this pawn forward, and now that pawn is weak again. See that? So now he's hitting the queen, but he's completely... That's the thing. Every time you move a piece, you have to look at not only what you're attacking now, but what you left behind. So you left behind the pawn, which Keenan just took. So now Keenan's up a lot of material at this point. King e7. And then, okay, so you got to look here. And this is where you really got to look. Keenan moved the bishop rather to here, and which was responded to with simply c5. That blocks the check. So now you lose a tempo. You're gonna have to do something about this eventually. So let's go back. What's a better move? Well, I like this. Okay. And look at what this does. This is a check, obviously. It's protected by the bishop. So these squares are protected. Maybe color them red. There we go, red. These squares obviously are protected by the queen. All right. This square is protected by the queen. So we've got and also by the pawn actually. We've got we're driving the king out, and obviously you can't go where the other queen is. So he's going to go here. Now we ride up the escalator here. See, the bishop is creating the escalator. It's got this long ride here, and the queen can go anywhere on that and be safe. So now the king is forced again. Can't go to any of these squares over here. It has to go. It was only one square. Now look at where this king is. This king is way out in the open. He's going to be mated anytime soon. So you go b4 and king b5. Right. Again, it can't go there. Can't go there because this bishop is now protecting this. Right. So we've got that protected, and this square is protected, and this square is protected, and these squares are all protected. So the king only has one square he can go to, and he's getting closer and closer to the edge. And if we start looking here, right, this square, let me use red. This square, this square, this square, this square. Let's see here, just looking at the bishops. Okay, so we've got this little area in here. What would be nice would be if we could get our queen. Now this is the way you have to think. If we could get our queen maybe here or here, well here probably would be the square, on this square. And have the king be in here, then, or yeah, anywhere in here. If the king were here and the queen were there, then that would be checkmate. That's the sort of thing that's starting to look attractive to me, because all these squares are protected. So we just have to drive this king a little bit farther in. So we'll go a4. Look at that. We'll use attraction. So now the king can't go to this square, this square, this square. I'm using green again. All right, he can't go to any of these squares. This square is also out. And of course he's in check, so he can't stay there. So he has only one square he can go to. Okay, he has to take the pawn. So then we do this move here, bishop c6, check, right? Okay, this is the idea being we're just trapping this king in this little valley that we've got here. Now this bishop here is controlling this square, and we've got that's controlled by the bishop, and all these squares are controlled. Yeah, so all these squares are controlled by white's pieces. So this king is going to be in this corridor here, but right, we just hung a bishop though, right? Well, not entirely, because, well, yeah, the bishop's going away. Now we bring the queen in right back. We've got support, so now we've got the same deal all over again, right? So what squares are controlled now? Of course, he's in check again. All of these are controlled. This one's not anymore. It doesn't matter. Okay, so where is he going to go? White. Well, king a3. Though this square is also controlled, of course, by the pawn. So he has to go down this way. Okay, so now, again, all three of these squares are already controlled. So now we just have to get checkmate, right? Well, where's checkmate? Now that you've got those controlled, there you go. So that's what checkmate looks like. All right, but we didn't go down that path. Would have been fun. I really was hoping to see this queen f7 check move. That's very forcing. Instead, he brought the bishop for check. Okay, checks are always good, but you have to check all of them. That's what I always say. Check all checks. And we have c5. And then he does queen g7 check. Oh, that's almost good. That's really almost good. Same deal, though. I mean, just come in a little closer. Because this square is protected by the bishop, now you're forcing the king to go to only one square. And I think we have the mate is not quite as clear here. Because now we have this pawn free here, and the bishop has lost the tempo and all that. But still, it's so much better to get him out here than to go here, which is like almost good. Almost good. King d6. So now we can't bring the queen here, which is really where we want to be. But now we're stuck behind here. Okay, so we didn't go there. So we now have to do a different check. Bishop, and we don't do a check. We're backing up. That's what Keenan did. Rook g8. So now Nicholas goes into counterattack. He's going to start pushing back. So he's attacking the queen, sacrificing actually the exchange. Keenan takes with the bishop. Nicholas takes right back, and then Keenan took with the queen right here. He did this move in about half a second in the middle of the exchange. Yeah, there are better moves. There's two better moves that I see right off. This pawn and this pawn are both hanging. So you could take either one of them, and one of them's with check. This is what I would have done. The computer actually prefers this one, and I haven't quite figured out why. Maybe because we were looking at this eventually. We could bring the queen back into here, which would be a pretty nasty check. Yeah, that's probably... No, that doesn't work, because then the other queen is attacking it. So what is going on here? I don't know. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I would have done something like this. But that's not what happened. He took this queen. We have another exchange. Now the rook is attacking our pawn down here. Okay, so Keenan responds with c3, which gets a tempo on the bishop, which then takes the pawn. Rook df1. Attacking the bishop. Rook takes g2, defending the bishop. Okay, so Keenan's making lots of little mistakes here, and his lead is evaporating. What do we have? b4. b4. C takes b. I like this move b4. Let me not just leave it uncommented here. This move is really good, because right now this bishop is stuck. Right, STUK, stuck. It can't go anywhere here because, well, if it goes here, it gets captured. If it captures a pawn, it gets captured. If it can't go down here because there's a pawn in the way. So this bishop is really stuck. So what Keenan does is, I like this move. He brings the pawn there. So now Nicholas takes the pawn, and then Keenan takes the pawn with check. And now look, the bishop is suddenly free. So king c6, a4. All right, that's okay. Bishop b3. Okay, this is check. King b1. Oops, oops. Oh no! What happened? What happened? Let's see here. I'm losing track of things. Okay, so we have the bishop there. King d1. I misread. King d1. That's what happened. And that's well, okay. Rook d2. So we got check here. And what did he do? King e1, which is just fine. And then Nicholas makes a mistake. Rook takes d3. Okay, that's a mistake, but Keenan didn't make the right move in response. What's the right move? Go ahead and pause your video, see if you can find it. This is kind of an unusual tactic. This is called a king fork. Okay? See that? You're forking two pieces. Yeah, it looks like the bishop is protected, but the rook is really the one you want to save, right? So you got to move the rook out. Well, there's maybe here. You go here, then you take the bishop, right? That's no good. So the rook is going to have to go back, and then you take the bishop. So that's a king fork, and you don't usually hear those two words in one phrase, king fork. So actually, Keenan ended up making the worst move possible. He freed this rook. This rook is tied here to the bishop, but you're giving him room to breathe by moving your pawn up here. So now he has this whole line to go away if you then bring your king in here. So that was really not a good move. Then what did Nicholas do? Bishop d2. Okay, so he comes in with check again. Again, you have an opportunity for a king fork, but you made the worst move possible here. Ooh, this really hurts when I see this. Okay, so why is this bad? You moved king d1. There's a lot of better moves here. Well, actually, it's not a lot. There's only two. You have three squares that you can go to. You can go here, here, or here, right? Because you're in check. Okay, so now what you don't want to do is get in the line of fire of that rook. That rook is bearing down on you. Now, as soon as you move your king there, this bishop goes away and takes something else with tempo. So now you're in check. So if you have a choice, you don't want to get in the line of another piece, even if it's blocked by another one. And I think you did this again later in the game. So you go there and fork the two pieces. And then we get, well, I don't know, probably this goes here, and then you take the rook. That's probably the best that black can do, which isn't so bad. But now white's clearly winning. Instead, you moved here and lose the bishop outright with check. All right, king c2. Now you're going after the rook a little bit too late. Rook c3 check. He brings the rook here again. Yeah, and then here we go again. Okay, so you can't be on this square, obviously, because that's protected by the bishop. You can't be here because you're in check. All right, so you have and you can't go here or here. So you have these squares to choose among. I'll go ahead and label them green. These are the squares to choose among. Which one is the worst of those? That's right. This square right here is the worst of those, because the bishop is protecting it. Okay, so that's where you went. King d2. So now where's the rook going to go? Rook takes c4. It goes ahead, and now you're in check again. Now you have to move. King d3. Okay, this is an alright move, I suppose. Yeah, that's about as good as you're going to get. But now your lead is completely evaporated. Black has the advantage. As he's chewing up your pawns, you keep walking into check. Okay. So now king c5. Oh, Well, yeah, what would have been the move here? This is the move that he made. Can you think of a better move? How about this with check? That's seems to me to be better. Because now you're forcing the king back. And okay, well, anyway, so he I guess the idea was he wanted to protect the rook. All right. Now, what was interesting about this move, actually, was that when I was watching the video, Nicholas took a hold of this rook with his hand and sort of leaned it to the left and leaned it forward and then leaned it to the left again. And then he let go and he picked up the king and he moved it here. And I suppose Keenan wisely didn't call him on it because he knew that moving the rook would be the better move. But that's a touch move violation. Once you put your hand on the piece, you have to move it, even if it's a better move than the one you ultimately choose. Okay, rook takes f6. Yeah, this was a good move. Okay, why is that a good move? Well, because he's controlling now this line, this rank here. So look at all these squares. Oh my gosh, this, and even this, for that matter. These are all controlled by white pieces. Okay, that king is in trouble. Okay, he's surrounded by a whole bunch of pieces. Okay, so we have a5. a5 is a move on the board. Rook g1. Keenan sees that the black king is in trouble and he's going after it. b5. Nicholas doesn't notice. What would have been a better move there than b5? How about rook d4 check? This is one we looked at before. Oh, where did I put in all those red squares? So these are all squares that white can't go to at this point. Okay, so he's going to have to go somewhere else. Maybe there. Where else? That doesn't matter. King e2, perhaps. Yeah, he's gonna. I don't know. He's gonna go away. Okay, so that's one possibility instead of bringing this pawn forward. Rook d4, rook c3 was the other one I was looking at before. Oh, and there I got more squares that I've colored up. And again, all these squares are controlled by black, and white has to go. Well, white could go here, right? But this would be a bad move again because now the rook goes somewhere else and maybe wins another rook. Yeah, there we go. He wins this rook with check. See that? He's in check. He has to move the king, and then you win the rook. Okay. So, okay. But going back to this square with all the red and yellow. You go here. Wow, I've been talking for 23 minutes. Holy moly. Okay, let's go. Move on. And then you'd have to move there. So that was the move. Either here or here with the rook. Instead, we did this. Keenan comes up with the rook threatening checkmate. I don't think... Well, obviously Nicholas didn't see it because he's trying to pass his pawn. He's got a pass pawn. Look at that. He might... Oh, checkmate. So... That's the game. So hard to know up until the very last minute who's going to win this game. This is a really neat checkmate. I like that. You know, all these squares are controlled. These two pieces are blocking the only exit. This bishop rather is blocking the exit. Even the king's involved here. That's nice. All right, let's look back here. So what are the two things here? We're talking about mating nets, right? Really. So, you know, we had some ordinary stuff going on. It was a mistake, you know, or little ordinary mistakes. Dropping the bishop, that was a biggie. Excuse me. No, this was the big drop bishop. Okay, so now we've got big drop bishop. Defending the pawn the wrong way. Okay, check. Oh, and yeah, here, this hurts because this is the move you needed to make. You need to start forcing the king out of his nice comfy lair. Force till we get to checkmate. Okay, that's you know, if you can separate the king from all his other pieces, then you're going to have checkmate eventually. But that didn't happen. You this one, which can always be retaliated. These bishop checks. I see a lot of these in our games. And then this move with the queen is just a little too not forceful enough. You need to be more forceful. It's so close to being a good move. And what do we have here? Then over exchanging. You don't need to exchange off the last queens. All right, but I do tell you to exchange material when you're ahead. Are you ahead material here? Let's see. Yeah, you're ahead of material, so you're exchanging material. Okay, I can't argue too much about that. You did the right thing. It's simplify. But then you didn't. Oh boy! And then you kept moving your king in the way of other pieces. And then finally, white took back the advantage and won the game. So yeah, there were mistakes on both sides. Mating nets. What's a mating net? That's when you have all the squares around the king controlled and all you have to do is apply a check. So I hope you enjoyed that. I've been talking for over 25 minutes. I hope you learned something. Go play chess. I will see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.